I want to create a backup for my Kubernetes Postgres database. As you can see here, I have a Kubernetes cluster with a few nodes running, such as Node.js, Redis, and Postgres. Let's try to see what's on my Postgres instance. So we're going to be using kubectl to communicate with our cluster. Let's go ahead and list all of the namespaces that exist. And I think my Postgres instance is running on the default namespace. So let's go ahead and grab all the pods that exist on that namespace. As you can see here, I have two pods running. DB1 is my primary and DB2 is my replica. So let's quickly look at the stats for that pod by doing kubectl get pod namespace default, and then we type in the pod name, which is JKE Postgres DB2. So this will give us stats about this pod, and we can here learn more about it. So right now it's running, and what we can do is we can output the container name by using the -o JSON path, and then doing this specific format to target all of the container names that run inside this pod. And as you can see here, Postgres is our container, meaning that to run any commands inside that database, we need to target the correct namespace, pod, and container. We can do that by doing a kubectl execute, and then we can pass it the namespace name, which is default, and then -i, and then our pod name, then -c for container name, and then we do a quick -- and run our SQL command. I used the /l command to list all of my databases. As you can see here, I have an employees database that I want to back up. Let's take a quick look at the data that we're going to back up. To do that, let's target that database and get a database definition of the employees database. I have around 6 tables. Let's quickly look at the count number of employees. We can just run a SQL command, and I have here around 300,000 rows. And if you noticed, we use pSQL from inside of the Postgres container right here. It automatically exists in there, and we communicate it through kubectl. So what we can do is we can target another binary inside the Postgres database every day at 1 a.m. using kubectl to run something called pgdump. And then we can compress that backup using gzip, sending through our clone to our cloud storage. We're going to start coding our backup script in a little bit. However, I would like to tell you that at SimpleBackups, we have already solved Kubernetes backups for you. At SimpleBackups, we have a fully extensive Kubernetes backup solution that allows you to back up your persistent volumes, config maps, and secrets. Plus, you can store your backups anywhere, run them anywhere, and encrypt them. And we support a lot of the Kubernetes providers that you might be using already. Alright, so what we're going to be using in the backup script is our own pgdump utility that exists in the container. And I'm just going to quickly run it and pipe it to nothing, so we can see what kind of output it gives us. So I can run pgdump using the Postgres user, targeting the employees database. And let's run it quickly. And as you can see, it will just stream a lot of text to your terminal. So what is pgdump? pgdump is a Postgres built-in utility for exporting a database into a single restorable file, and it allows you to use a lot of cool formats. For MySQL, you can use MySQL dump. All right, let's go ahead and run the exact same command, but pipe it into a file. And this allows us to save it on our disk, on our machine. So I'm going to call my file employees database. And as you can see here, it's saved. It's around 135 megabytes. Let's go ahead and run that again, but right now using the capital FC argument. This allows it to create a custom format backup. As you can see, there's a significant change in difference. Not because it's missing data, but because it's a much better format for backing up and restoring your database. Let's go ahead and start writing a script. I'm going to call mine Kubernetes SimpleBackups.sh, and then I'm just going to do a quick shebang to point it to my own bash environment. And we are never going to let this fail silently, so we're going to use the panic button, which will basically make it exit and error out on any issue we might face during the backup run. Right, now we can fill in our Kubernetes configuration, and then we can fill in our database configuration. Both of these we've used in the CLI a bit before. Then let's set up our backup configuration. We want to save the backup. Where do we want it to be called? And the timestamp, which is a really important variable to have if we want to quickly sort through the backups that we do have on our disk. And it will be formatted something like this. All right, so the file name will basically be the DB name, snapshot, and then timestamp. And now we can run the same pgdump command using kubectl that we ran before, exactly using the same flags. Let's go ahead and write it down. And by the way, if you want to multi-line, you can do a /, and that will allow you to multi-line commands. Something like this. And then let's echo out a backup completed, the location, and the size of the backup. And now we can quickly go ahead and run a quick smoke test. But before that, we need to make it executable. And we've already encountered our first error. We do not have access to that directory. So let's go ahead and change the directory to the current directory. Go ahead and run it again. And it seems like this directory is not created. So let's do a quick make dir. So make sure this directory always exists. And as you can see, we have our backup running. Let's delete it and run it again to make sure. And it's right there. So let's create a quick cron job, which will allow us to run this backup script every day at 1 a.m. Point it to the correct shell script and the logs position. And in order to not fill our storage, let's do some retention configuration. I'll set retention in days variable, and then any backup that is older than that retention in days variable will basically be deleted after the last backup run, meaning we'll always have the last 7 days worth of backup. So to do that, let's find any file inside the backup directory with the name matching our pattern, which is dbname _ snapshot _ timestamp. And then any file that is older than that retention days variable, we can delete. So just do -delete. And then let's echo out a quick message that this has been completed. Let's try to run it. And of course, we will run into an issue. It seems like I have a typo in retention days. So what I need to do is just to fix it. It's supposed to be retention in days, I think. So let's just fix it real quick. I think it's mentioned, yep. Now delete the Kubernetes directory and run the backup again. And let's look at the output. All right, let's go back to the backup script and look at what we're missing. I think what we're missing is notifications. It's really important. Multi-scheduling. So if we want to do a grandfather, father-son backup, we can do that. And multi-storage, because we want 3-2-1 backups. But that is way too complicated. Let's quickly explain what 3-2-1 backups are. So it's a backup strategy. That means you have 3 copies of your data on 2 different media. One of them is offsite. And we've achieved exactly that at SimpleBackups. SimpleBackups is your all-in-one destination for all your backup needs. To get started, all you need to do is go to SimpleBackups.com and click on Create Account. And then from there, you can create your first backup. In this case, let's go ahead and create a Kubernetes backup. What we need to do is just search for Kubernetes and do auto discovery. And then we can use our serverless instance, which means this is going to run on the actual SimpleBackups infrastructure. Save our connection details, name our stack, and then let's go ahead and select a namespace to run backups on. Once the stack is created, you can quickly go ahead and discover all of your new resources. And then from here, you can see we have a lot of more data that we can back up. For example, we have persisted volumes, we have databases, and we have config maps. I'm going to create a MySQL backup. It already grabbed all of the credentials that we need. Let's go ahead and list the databases and select the database that I actually want to back up and validate the connection. And then I'll just name the backup, select the storage, select my scheduling and retention policy. I'm going to go for simple strategy, which is a predefined preset. And then we can go to the backups tab, view that backup, and run a quick smoke test. We have here our serverless instance connected to our Kubernetes cluster. And from here, we can just click on Run Backup Now, and that will allow SimpleBackups to take a snapshot of our MySQL database. Let's go ahead and initiate the backup and wait for it to complete. After a bit, you can see that it's already completed. Go ahead to your stack page and create backups for all of your connected Kubernetes nodes. I'm going to create one for my config map, and this is going to save our workload config. This is important if you want to redeploy your Kubernetes cluster somewhere else. And it's as easy as that. Let's go ahead and run a quick backup. And as you can see, it's right here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out SimpleBackups. We offer a 7-day free trial. No credit card required. All you have to do is go ahead and create an account. And if you have any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to our support. Thank you.